Today we are at a friend's hobby kind of race car shop, and he's got all the fun toys, race cars being worked on, and corner balancing scales, and a dyno over in the other room, and all the tools to get things dialed in. So we are going to corner balance this thing, do a full string alignment on it, and stick it on the dyno and hopefully dial in the tune on this thing. I'm still learning that quite a bit, but I think he knows his way around tuning, so we're gonna try and see what kind of power this thing makes and what we can make it do safely. So stay tuned, we're gonna have some fun. All right, that's a pretty reasonable cross balance at 50.1. So we didn't pull as much weight off the car as I thought we would. Looks like maybe 50 pounds, but it came off the front of the car, so that's a good thing. Dialed it in just a little bit more, so it's the perfect 50-50 cross balance, and 52.3% weight on the front is much better than it was before. Maybe I'll throw a screenshot up here of what it was before. I should probably note that while the car isn't a ton lighter, it isn't as light as I expected it to be. We added a full 3-quart AccuSump and an air expansion tank in the back, and it's full of oil right now, and I've got a little bit more gas, probably 2 gallons more gas in the fuel cell in the back, so it's definitely much more balanced than it was before. It looks like about 50 pounds came off the front ish, and we probably added 20 to 30 pounds in the back. So throwing on these tools, I forget what the exact name is, AccuLevel, to measure the camber, and we are coming in at 2.8 on both sides. I didn't have to make any adjustments, so all of that held. So that's a good thing, but good to double check. After the alignment was all finished up, it was time to move over to the dyno. The first thing we wanted to do was force the ECU to learn the fuel parameters in various RPM ranges. So we went through a series of runs where we just held the dyno at specific RPM and would slowly move the throttle in so that it learned the fueling needs at various intake manifold pressures. After we were happy with the way the base fueling map looked, we did a baseline pull. After the baseline pull, we pulled 3 degrees out at the top and did another pull and saw a significant drop in power. But we wanted to see what our reference point was and see how much things would drop. After that, we added 5 degrees to the top. So it was a total of 2 degrees from our baseline, just to see if that yielded any gains. And it did not. It made nearly the same power as the baseline, which kind of tells us that, number one, Scott did a really good job picking a starting timing. There are probably a couple of tweaks in a couple of RPM ranges where we could make some changes, but overall it was good enough for the moment. Well, that was exciting. So thankful for Steve, who has an awesome shop and let me have some dyno time. And it was good to learn from him a little bit. Good to get the car set up and play on the dyno. Got some things kind of sorted out, a lot of fuel map learning we did on the dyno. So that was really good. There's still a little bit more to do, so we'll probably go back at some point. And there's some things I can do without the dyno. Cold start is still a little rough. It wants to die still sometimes. Once it's about above about 160 degrees coolant temp, it seems to run pretty well and not die and idle decently, but below that, it's not uncommon for it to die. So still got some challenges there. And then acceleration enrichment, I need to address some tuning on that as well. If I hit the throttle while I'm driving, especially from an idle, it kind of wants to buck a little bit and not really take off like it should. So I think there's an acceleration enrichment issue that I need to deal with. So I'll do some learning around that. I don't know how well you could read the numbers on the screen, but the car dynoed at 545 horsepower to the wheels. And I've got the red line set at 7,500. I think peak horsepower was about 6,500, and it kind of starts to die off from there. I'll probably not really take it up to 7,500 very often, only in an extreme case, maybe on the autocross course for just a half second or something. I also want to throw some E85 in there since I do have a flex fuel sensor and play with the tuning on that and see if we can pick up a little bit more. It seems from reading online that guys that are running E85 naturally aspirated with a cam on these Gen 5 motors are picking up somewhere between 20 and 30 horsepower. So we might as well throw some E in there and then go back to the dyno and see if we can pick up some more. Because, I mean, what 2,600 pound car doesn't need an extra 20 to 30 horsepower over the 550 that it already has? So overall, I'm super happy. I have an HPDE road course event here in a couple weeks, so I'm excited to get this thing out there on the road course and really lay into it and see what it'll do. So stay tuned for that. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.